back to AIMBOT and to HotFix. I'm Amerlin, and this is a show all about shooters, third person, first person, sometimes without guns, sometimes with them. And got a rather exciting one tonight. There have been a bunch of remasters coming out lately of a bunch of really famous shooters, Metroid Prime, Resident Evil 4, and of course, Dead Space. So kicking it off tonight, we have Sharkhat about to show off Dead Space Remastered. So, Sharkhat, take it away.
All right, sounds good. Hope everybody's doing good. I'm Sharkhat87. I run a lot of these games, and yeah, today we're playing through Dead Space 2023. Restricted, which means we can use any kind of glitches, out of bounds tech that we want to beat the game really fast. We're gonna go ahead and just jump straight into the run here because we got a little bit of running and some cutscenes and stuff. So time will start when I select this save file. So we're gonna start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So one thing you might have noticed is that autosave that I loaded actually said chapter 7. We are gonna actually wait. Assuming oh yeah, we did this. Okay. Just making sure. Okay. Sounded a little weird there. We're good. Okay, here we go. So, the reason we do that, is this game has a really long intro cutscene. It takes, I forget the exact number. It's a long time. It's over 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes to get to this point from a fresh file. So we decided to allow starting from an autosave that is right after the intro section, right when you jump into the main part of the gameplay. When you replace the autosave in your files, it doesn't actually update that in the game. So it'll say whatever the last autosave you actually had was. So in this case, it says chapter 7, but it really is a chapter 1 autosave. So that's how we skip the intro. We just run past a bunch of enemies there, nothing too crazy, and we're picking up our first weapon, the plasma cutter. Now, you're gonna see me do something a little bit weird here right off the start. So this is called toggle aim sprint. This is found by another Dead Space speedrunner, Looney, so shout outs to him. Basically, there's a setting in the game for aim where you can either hold the button down or just tap it and it toggles it on or off. Same with sprint. So the game doesn't actually check to see if you're aiming. It just checks to see if you're holding down the aim button when it tries to prevent you from running, right? So because I have tap to aim on, I'm not actually holding the button down, so I can actually sprint while I'm aiming. So this is my normal, I guess like walk speed while I'm aiming, right? So normally this is about as fast as you can go while aiming, but if I sprint, we go way faster. Now, this is our regular run speed, and this is the toggle aim speed. So this is actually about 16% faster than regular running. So you're gonna see me doing this for most of the run. And the cool thing about it is I can shoot, reload my gun. When we get our kinesis and stasis abilities, we can use those too while doing this. So we can actually perform a lot of actions while moving at full speed. And that's also really useful because there's gonna be some glitches later where we have to hold on to objects for a long time and move them across the level. So it makes it way faster. As far as the story goes, we're trying to fix a bunch of stuff on the ship, the Ishimura here, because it's all broken. There's a big outbreak of these alien zombie creatures called necromorphs.
Yeah, she always does.
What else? Just trying to get through all the quick checklist of things we got to talk about here at the beginning. We have 2 objectives for this level, 2 main ones, which is to fix the tram and to get the data board. We're gonna go fix the tram first. It doesn't really matter, but most people do this one first. You also get stasis here, so in case you really need it, you'll have it. So this ability lets you slow things down for a short while, which is pretty useful. Oh yeah, that's the other thing I was going to talk about. So I mentioned this is any % unrestricted. So that just means, got to beat the game as fast as possible, and we can use any kind of glitches or out of bounds that we have available to us. The other part of it is we're playing on story mode. So most people do runs of this game either on story or impossible, just because it's the easiest and the hardest difficulties, respectively. So on story mode, obviously the enemies are not going to be as strong, so it lets us move pretty fast.
Isaac, don't bother shooting those fuckers in the head.
Just gotta turn this on real quick. Grab some items while we wait.
So I was gonna ask.
Yeah, go for
last
it.
show at Resident Evil 4, which has the Dipman glitch, where you do that and it speeds up animations. Does this speed up animations or just movement?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, it's just your movement speed. So we are. Oh wait, hold on. There we go. Okay, this guy's just in my way for a second here. All right. So yeah, I think I don't know exactly, but our guess is that it's basically just adding your regular sprint speed onto the aiming and walking speed, which ends up just being slightly faster than running normally, because you move pretty slowly while you're aiming.
Module handy? We need one in tram maintenance status. The autoloader's fried.
But if you do add that to your regular speed, it does make a pretty big difference, which is nice.
Here, sending a stasis module now.
All right, so we got the tram repaired here. We can't leave this room until we both fix the tram and kill all the enemies. So there's one more that spawns. This last guy jumps out on either side, so we just gotta kind of wait and see what he decides to do. And then we're gonna do another cool piece of tech that actually saves a ton of time in this run. It's a really nice quality of life thing. So I'm gonna get a call from Kendra here. But before that happens, I'm gonna pull up a text log, and as soon as she calls me, I'm gonna close the text log, which is gonna skip the cutscene of her trying to talk to me. So we call these rig skips. It works on any call, any audio or video call you get in the game, and that's really nice because all of these calls will usually lock doors or just generally lock your progression throughout the game. But as soon as they end, you'll be able to progress, which is actually really similar to the original game. And in the OG game, we can actually just delete the movie files, and it does the same thing automatically. But in this game, we have to actually do it manually. So anytime I get one of those calls, I'm just going to pull up either an audio, video, or text log, and that will let us just automatically skip the cutscenes. I don't know exactly how much time that saves, but we're pretty sure it's over like 20 minutes. It's like a rough guess over the whole run. It's a lot. It really adds up, and where, you know, situations you'd otherwise just kind of be sitting there not doing anything. One little small detail right there is your hitbox actually gets a little bit bigger when you aim. So right there, the enemy jumps over the railing and can block you on the catwalk, but if you unaim, sometimes you're able to squeeze through them because your hitbox shrinks a little bit. It's not completely consistent. And speaking of enemies not being consistent, we'll see this. Well, maybe not in this room exactly, but hold on. Yeah, let's make sure we did the right thing there. Yeah, okay, so as I was saying, yeah, so we'll see it a little bit later, but this game has a thing called the Intensity Director, and basically it determines random events that happen throughout the game. So it could be enemy spawns, but it could also be things like fog or other environmental effects like lights, sparks, things like that. So ideally, we want to get those and not enemy spawns, because you can just get random enemy spawns that will block your path. You can get enemies to block your path in this room too, but that's sort of unrelated. The enemies just don't always do the same thing every time. But they sort of cooperated there. You saw they sort of got in my way a little bit. Also, I guess, like, not super important, but kind of a small detail with that guy there is you can't kill enemies when they first spawn jumping out of vents and things like that, because they do have invincibility frames. Well, maybe that's not actually the best way to put it. So you can do damage to them, they just can't die. So you can get them one hit from death while they spawn in. So that's why I was pre-firing some shots on that guy as he dropped down. And then as soon as I shoot him the third time, he just instantly dies once that animation ends. We actually have one of the devs of this game, worked on QA, actually is in the speedrun Discord for Dead Space and has given us a lot of insight. So shout outs to them, shout outs to Quinn. They've also done runs of this as well. So they've been super helpful, you know, figuring out how things work, answering questions, stuff like that, which has been super cool.
So actually, we had a question from someone in chat.
Yeah, sure.
How does the enemy aggro work? Like, how long do they keep chasing you? Is it just room transitions, or?
Yeah, that is a good question. Yeah, so a lot of the enemies will usually just stay in the room you fight them, but sometimes they can chase you through the vents depending on where it is. And same thing with the random enemies that spawn. They might spawn in a random corridor and they might continue to chase you for a little bit. But some rooms that have more scripted enemy encounters, they'll just stay in the one room. So like once you leave, they won't, they'll leave you alone. They won't continue to chase you. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I forgot. I was gonna mention this earlier. So one cool thing about story mode is a short time after you take any damage, you'll actually get refilled back to full health, which is kind of disgusting. And so you'll actually see me purposely drop health packs because we pretty much, I don't want to say we can't use them, but we don't really need them for the entire game. So speaking of which, I'm actually gonna drop this.
Haley, I need you to listen. The Ishimura's
There we
overrun
go.
with them. They're fucking monsters. You didn't hear anything?
What? No, the comms.
But so our inventory management isn't too crazy throughout the run, but you know we're not going to get any more than these slots right here, so we just need to make sure we have enough ammo. I guess small spoilers for the run. We're only going to get 2 weapons, so we only have 2 different kinds of ammo that we need to hold, like at one time. So we do still want ammo. We want stasis packs as well. But as far as health packs go, we don't really need to do that. We don't need to pick them up.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask, like, how difficult is ammo management for this run? Is it like a lot of other survival horrors where you've really got to make every shot count, or?
No, I would say for story, not as much. I mean, in general, the Dead Space games don't have, a lot of the speedrunners don't have as tight management. I would say like Dead Space 2 any percent has a little bit of that, or like harder difficulties. Yeah, you do actually have to make sure you pick up enough items and things, or else you'll not have enough. For this, it's pretty lenient though. It's more just you really need to make sure you have enough plasma cutter ammo because it is kind of easy to run out. You do get a lot of drops, but you're also using the gun for most combat in the game, so you do need to have a pretty steady sort of like income of money or plasma cutter ammo. Fortunately, we do get a decent amount of money drops, and then in Chapter 6, we're just going to buy a bunch of plasma cutter ammo, so that'll sort of help us for most of the run. But yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of management. Like, I mean, I can, if I hit the weapon swap sort of wheel thing like this, I can see how much ammo I have for each gun, and so for some situations, I'll look at that and say, okay, well, I really need contact beam ammo for this upcoming part, so I'm going to make sure I don't use it too much. I make sure I use the other gun instead. But besides that, it's not too crazy in terms of managing your inventory.
Okay.
Besides that, it's really
not
just
like,
it's not like
every shot.
Yeah,
like, I could only
exactly.
use 2 shots here, or I'm screwed. That type of thing. Yeah, that's good.
Exactly. Yeah, I would say a lot of the Resident Evil games are a lot more like that than this is. It's a little bit more lenient. Now, I actually haven't ran Impossible difficulty in this game very much, or well, really at all, myself. So I don't know how tight it is on that difficulty, but yeah, as far as story goes, it's not too bad.
Now accessible. Thank you for your patience.
I like the hat. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, so we're in Chapter 2 now. We're gonna grab this box for later. You'll see why in a bit later. But first, we're going to use this box. So, first we're going to skip this cutscene here. Like that. And I'm actually going to make a safety save real quick because we don't get a great checkpoint near this skip coming up. And it is... I don't want to say it's inconsistent, but it can do some funny things sometimes. So, just in case. Alright, so I'm going to throw this box at myself, and that is just going to... Well, wait until we actually get it. There we go. So that's going to clip me out of bounds. Are we good? This works. Okay. So we just call those box clips. Honestly, nothing too fancy about it. Like from a technical perspective, you are pretty much just throwing it at yourself really fast. And if you do that, it will... There we go. It can just clip you straight through the wall. So you're going to see me do that a lot. That is probably... besides toggle aim sprint and the cutscene skips, that is probably the most broken thing in the entire run, I would say. So that was shock pad skip. The goal of this chapter is to get to the morgue to get the captain's rig. And to do that, we need 2 items to make a bomb to blow up a barrier. So we just picked up the first one, and now we need a hydrazine tank. So we're gonna head over to the next area of the level to go grab that. You can kind of start to see what I mean about it being really convenient that we can move objects while moving as fast as possible. Because I have to carry this box a very long distance. Also, those that circuit panel, you assume you use a few of those so far. It's a new mechanic in this game where you can actually control where the power is going, where the power is routed. So in that case there, you can either turn on the power to some extra doors to get some items, or you can power the elevator. So in this case, we want to take the elevator. There's not too much crazy, really like routing with those in the run. You mostly just have to know where you're trying to actually send the power. Sometimes it's just a choice of, do you want air to be on or the lights to be on? Because you can't have both and power to the thing you need for the objective. So we'll see that in chapter 3. It doesn't really matter too much. We usually just pick the option that's the fastest for menuing. Here we briefly get our first 0G area. They changed it to a more free-flying style of 0G, kind of like Dead Space 2, instead of the jumping from point A to point B. Like the original game, and it definitely flows a lot better, I think. We're gonna do a prop fly here. So if you put object under yourself and pull up with kinesis, sometimes you can fly up in the air a little bit. Now I'm actually gonna wait for this dialogue to finish because we get an autosave. And if you get the autosave at a weird time, you can kind of get stuck. So we're just gonna make sure we get the autosave here. Gonna do another box clip out of bounds. And this is just to take a little bit of a shortcut back to the beginning of the level. This one's a little trickier than the last one we did. Nice, okay. That one's a little weird, but we got it. You can land on top of the level too, which is a little slower. You have to do this kind of weird backup where you get the ceiling to load in to push you back in bounds. Fortunately, we got the faster and more easier version to deal with there, so that's nice. So we have made our bomb here. It's going to blow up this barrier. And we can head over to the morgue. And we're actually going to take one more quick shortcut here. So we call this morgue skip. Kind of like shock pad skip. It doesn't actually skip the morgue, but it just gets us there a little bit faster. So we're going to box clip there. Nice. There's a couple ways to do this depending on where you land. So we land on the ceiling. We're going to wait here. If we stand on the edge long enough, it will deload the level. So I'm trying to be careful here because if you wait too long, you'll fall straight down. There we go. Okay. Nice. All right. So that actually happens at a few points in the game where if you stand in a certain spot, the level unloads. So again, the idea is we stand there long enough so it triggers the level to unload, but then we have to run left to get a little momentum so we actually land in the level. But there we go. So we're in the morgue. I'm going to pick up this stasis pack. And we get a little bit of a cutscene here. So we can't actually skip cutscenes like this because they're just rendered in real time in the game. But fortunately, there's not too many of them. Is box clipping as easy as it looks, or do you just make it look easy? Some of them are pretty easy, but some of them are definitely a lot more difficult. It really just depends on like how much distance you have to pull the box to you. Because if you have a long distance, the box has time to build up speed, so it's a little easier. But some walls are also just thicker. Some of these box clips you need to land in a certain spot out of bounds. You can't just land anywhere, so that makes them a little more difficult. I would say they do definitely take a little bit of practice to get used to and get consistent at them, because they can be pretty difficult. And then yeah, like I said, some of them are definitely harder than others. There we go. That's a little bit of a tight timing on that rig skip. A few of them are like that. What were we saying? Box clips. Oh yeah, because like where you pull the box, you'll see I pull them down right a lot. That seems to give them a good amount of speed. But the timing when you let go of the box also matters, because if you let go of it at the wrong time, it just loses all its speed completely. So yeah, so yeah, basically the short answer is no, they can be kind of difficult, but also not all of them though. Like if you were to pick this game up, it's not too bad, but like I said, really depends on the skip. Like the first one I did is one that pretty much everybody learns. It's a little tricky to get the hang of, and sometimes you land in a weird spot. Like I actually landed in kind of a weird spot in this run. I landed on the bottom floor. Ideally, you want to land right in the room with the shock pad, but you know, it happens. The two I did afterwards are definitely a lot more tricky. Mostly just because if you land in the wrong spot, it doesn't go very well. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Also, real quick, I dropped that box off there. That's the one we put aside at the beginning of this level. So we can backtrack to different levels in this game, which is a new feature. In the original game, you could not do that. Every chapter was its own separate map file, and once you went to a new level, that's it. You're on that level. So we're leaving that box there because we're going to use it in chapter 6, like 30 minutes from now or more. But if we leave that specific box there, it's actually going to persist and we'll be able to use it. The other boxes will despawn. I don't know why, but if you grab the box on the right, it will not be there. And if you grab the one on the left, it will. So that's what we did. We just did a little thing there called chicken speed. So if you put a prop behind you, you can actually give yourself a little bit of acceleration, a bit of extra speed. Only saves like a few seconds there. There's a faster version where you can launch yourself all the way out here, but it's pretty difficult. I haven't learned it yet myself. It's sort of new, but you can do that. Yo, and thank you for the good luck. I'm trying to read chat a little bit as we go. If anybody has any other questions, I'll try to answer them. Here's a cool little thing they added to the 0G in this game. So in the previous games, like in Dead Space 2 and 3, you see people do stuff like this to spin around, but they actually added a button where you can change your roll as you fly, so it's kind of convenient. It's a little slow starting up, but it's pretty useful. Especially because the 0G align in this game is not really useful at all for speedruns because of how slow it is. So that does help a little bit. I'm picking up a text log there because when I open my logs, it'll always open the chapter that we're on. So to do this rig skip up here, I actually need to have a chapter 3 log because this one has a really tight timing and you don't have time to menu over to chapter 2 and then pull one up. And also a text log just comes up immediately. So it makes that one pretty easy. I actually didn't even have to mash there, I guess, but I do it just to be safe. Okay, so now we're in chapter 3. We're in the engineering deck, and we've got to fix the engine. So the first thing we're gonna do, we can actually do, like some of the other levels, we can actually do some of these things in a slightly different order. But we're gonna refuel the engines first, and then go fix the centrifuge. I'm trying to avoid getting hit by this guy because he'll make me drop my kinesis there. Oh yeah. One really important thing I should mention that we have not talked about yet that affects the run is the objectives. So you can see these are my objectives right now. So in this game, if you don't do every objective, the game will not progress. So we can actually, from that 0G area I was in earlier, we can fly to the last level in the game. And you can get all the way there. But it does not progress, you're soft locked. So if the game didn't do that, the run would be like 20 to 30 minutes. I think it's probably better that that's not the case because it involves playing the first 2 levels and then flying in the dark for 6 minutes without any visual cues as to where you're going. And if that doesn't sound very fun to you, I agree.
It sounds perfect to me.
Oh, well, I mean, it's fast. You can't deny it's fast. Yeah. But, yeah. But no, so yeah, with 2 big exceptions, we do have to actually do every objective in the run. Also, just a little shortcut here. We're gonna grab that from over there, and then head back this way. There is an out of bounds you can do here, but it doesn't save very much time, and it's pretty hard. It's kind of inconsistent, at least for me. There's a prop fly. It's kind of weird, but we're gonna take this more the normal route here, and you'll get to see. I guess you'd get to see it in either route, but another different cool skip in a little bit here. But yeah. So anyway, it's sort of fortunate and unfortunate at the same time. We do have to do all the objectives. I mean, there's lots of other sequence breaks. You can get from chapter, like I said, 3 to 12. You can get from 2 to 10, probably from 2 and 3 to pretty much anywhere in the game. Because the whole map is essentially loaded, except for there's a few things here and there that won't load in until you do certain things. But for the most part, you could pretty much get anywhere in the game that you want.
So
from pretty much the beginning.
Since I also run a game that's much like that, the main story is pretty hard coded. Is it only the main story that's really hard coded in this game, and you break the side quests if they're? I assume there's side quests.
Yes, actually, yeah. There are 3 main side missions, and I haven't ran all missions or all achievements or anything like that myself. But from what I've heard, you actually can sort of sequence break some of the side missions. Like if you do some of the later things, it'll advance. If you don't do the earlier things, I couldn't give you the exact details, but yeah, you actually can a little bit, from what I understand. So that's kind of cool, at least.
Yeah, I was curious about that.
But yeah, and we can talk about the big exceptions later. But yeah, there are 2 chapters where that rule either doesn't apply or doesn't really apply exactly the way it probably should, or probably intended to. But it's not till much later in the late game, so we'll save that for later. So yeah, we're going to the centrifuge now. This decontamination area is actually not an objective, but if we don't do it, then the door on the way back right over there will be locked. So even though we could just go out of bounds and go straight to the centrifuge and then do the puzzle and everything, we wouldn't have a way to get back through here. So that's why we do this first. Just so we can actually, get out of here. You wanted to put it on easiest just play for story. Is it a good play? Oh yeah, this game is amazing. It's I always say, if you are even remotely a fan of Dead Space, this is definitely a must play. It's really, really good. And if you're new to this series, this honestly is probably the best game to start with. The original game is also really good, but it's definitely, especially the PC port, hasn't aged as well. Obviously it's still a classic, but especially if you're a newer player, you'll definitely have a much easier experience on a first playthrough playing this. And it leads really well into Dead Space 2, which is also a great game. I mean, I'm a little biased. It's one of my favorite games ever, but yeah. I think either this game or Dead Space 2 is a perfect way to get into the series.
Centrifuge activated.
And then of course you play the Apex, which is Dead Space 3.
Exactly, with a friend, in co-op.
Looks like the centrifuge is back
All right,
online.
so I think you actually can make this without toggle aim sprint. Don't quote me on that. If you try it and die on your impossible run, but I don't know if you can. But with toggle aim sprint, we have plenty of speed, and we can actually make it around this way. You're actually supposed to go around the other way, and then wait out the centrifuge arm going around. But we move too fast for that to be an issue, so we just go that way. And then we only have to wait once for it. I did try it. You can't make it in one cycle. It almost looks like you can, but you can't, unfortunately. But that's all right. This game is not PC exclusive, no. It's on PS5 and Series X and S, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds right, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Also, the part's a little weird there, because getting used to toggle aim running this game is a little weird at first, because when it pulls you, it unaims you, so you have to actually tap again. but you can't just like buffer it, hold the button down. You have to actually like time it. So if you do it too early, he doesn't aim. So if you see me get hit at some point and just punch in place, that's me trying to shoot and having pressed aim too early, and it's just not working. So that can happen.
Setting up the excuse, I see.
Yeah. So if you see me just do this as after an enemy hits me, that's why. Because you get hit, you tap the button once, you did it too early, he doesn't aim, and then you try to shoot, and then he just does that, which is pretty cool.
Actually, a couple people have had the question, are there any glitches from the original Dead Space that carry over to this? That you knew where to look to start off?
Yeah, I wouldn't say anything that's like the same, because it is in a it's in a different engine. It's all remade, but I would say this skip is actually kind of similar. So you don't actually skip this part in the original game, but in pretty much in pretty much every Dead Space game you can shoot through walls. So right there I broke a fuse, which unlocks a door, and okay, Isaac gets stuck on stuff. So like I said, your hitbox is bigger, so sometimes you do just get stuck on things because you're not really supposed to be aiming the entire time down these hallways. But yeah, I guess that's like the closest thing. In the original game, your gun is actually solid, and so if you aim away from a wall and then into it, you can actually clip your gun into the wall. Oh wait, I gotta kill these guys. Okay. There we go. Just grab the right thing here. So I would say that's like sort of similar, but besides that, no, the glitches in the original game are pretty different. If you've seen the original game, the main glitch, the main big trick is it's called pulse boosting. So it has to do with how the guns have collision. You can launch yourself backwards really fast with the alt fire, the one where you like spins it and like shoots in a circle like around you. So they changed how the collision works, so the guns aren't solid anymore. And the alt fire isn't the same either, so no, we still tried it, but yeah, no pulse boosting in this game. Although I will say the other probably closest thing is just knowing how the levels work already, gives us ideas for like things to look for, at least. Like in the original game, the only objective you have to complete is actually starting the engines here, so we just go straight here and then do it. So we might think, oh, well, maybe that's maybe the objectives will be similar, but then we find out, oh well, no, you have to do all the objectives. Okay, so I guess it does give us a good starting place to check for things.
Isaac, you did it. The Ishimura's moving again.
Sabotage the fuck out of these engines.
You brought us time to figure it out.
All right, but yeah, speaking of fixing the engines, we're done with that now, so we're gonna move on to chapter 4, which is the bridge.
But the ADS is offline. I've got the system readouts here.
Here's a pretty good spot you can get memed on by the intensity director. I one time had 3 enemies in a row spawn, all from these vents. And we got no enemies. Nice. Okay, so yeah, there's a pretty wide range of things that can happen. It doesn't really matter that much. Like I said, on story, enemies don't have much health, and you can shoot while moving at full speed. So sometimes if you get an unlucky enemy spawn, you can actually just kill it before it even gets in your way, as long as you react to it in time.
So I was actually going to ask about the intensity director, if you know stuff about that. Like, is it similar to... Because I've had some original Resident Evil people on, where it's like how good you're playing, they throw more at you, so they intentionally just like take hits to lower their difficulty level.
Right,
Is it the same kind of thing?
No, so it's actually pretty different from DA. So as far as I know, it actually does not track how well you're doing. I could be wrong about that, but if I remember correctly, it is set up so that I guess the way it describes the intensity of events or things you're sort of like feeling, playing casually, like the atmosphere, things like that. It is paced well. So it's not like DA where if you're playing really well, the game's just super intense, like constantly. It's more, if something really intense happens, the game's going to slow down for a little bit. And by that, I mean, there's different events that can happen. So like I was saying, you can get, random enemy spawns, but you can also have fog, the lights can go out. You'll have, the vents will do this thing where they go really fast and spark and then like break. So there's all kinds of events like that. And so the game will say, okay, well, if we just threw a really intense event, like 3 enemies spawning or something, then it'll be chill for a little bit. And usually it will, as far as I know, trigger an event every time you go in a new room. So each room will have its own little thing. Most of them are like really small, like just sounds or lights. But then it'll scale up to enemies as well. So we were wondering about that actually when they announced it. It's like, oh, are we gonna have to get hit on purpose and do these other things to get less enemies? But it seems like, and from what we've heard from the devs, that it just keeps track of things that have happened, and like I said, if really intense things happen, it'll back off for a little bit and then come back. And yeah, like I said, as far as the run goes, ideally you want the ones that don't lose you time, which is mostly just enemies popping down. Although there is another funny thing that happens, which is it's pretty rare, but sometimes doors will either open really slowly or really fast. So if a door opens really fast, that maybe saves you a tiny amount of time, so that's cool. But sometimes you'll see it sort of like stagger open kind of slowly, and you don't really want that to happen. But it's like the enemy spawns; it doesn't really matter that much. It's just kind of, oh, I lost a second or whatever. Oh, the one okay, the actual worst one though, and this one's really bad. So the tram can just crash, where it'll get stuck and the lights will go out and you just kind of sit there for 20 to 30 seconds. And that can happen just randomly on the tram. So we've taken the tram a couple times so far, and it can happen there. It's pretty rare, and there's one that always happens in Chapter 8, so you will see that one. I'll point it out when we get there. But, for example, we're going to take the tram to the next level after we're done with the bridge, and it can just do that, which really sucks. But, I mean...
I was going to ask, is there any instance where, like, it forces something on you, or, you try to force, one of the...
like one of the events or something?
Yeah, so that you don't run into something later.
Right. As far as I know, you can't actually control what happens. You kind of just have to, like, I don't know, it could be possible there's a way to know, like, okay, well, this thing happens, so that means maybe at these points this isn't going to happen, but it doesn't seem like there's too much you could do to sort of, like manipulate that. I could be wrong about that, but as far as we know, it just sort of tries to pace it out, and then it's sort of out of your control.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, like I said, it's usually not that big of a deal. It's usually just you sometimes you get memed on and lose a little time. It's not the only thing that I would say is a run killer is the tram thing. Like, if you are trying to get a really good time and you get a tram crash, that's, like, especially in well, we don't call it glitchless, we call it restricted in this game, but it's basically the equivalent of other games, glitchless or no major glitches. It's closer to no major glitches, I would say, because, you're still not allowed to toggle aim, sprint, that kind of thing. Just can't, like, clip through walls, go out of bounds, stuff like that. In restricted, it really sucks because things are more optimized. In this category, we have a lot more harder tricks, and, it's easier to lose or save time in different places, but in restricted, you are more fighting for seconds, especially on stories. So if you get a tram crash, this is kind of rip. But like I said, it's pretty rare. So usually it's not a problem. So we're going to put this thing under us and prop fly out of bounds here. This does not save that much time, but it is a nice little shortcut, just having to, getting to skip the elevator here. I gotta make sure I'm not stuck here. Did kind of land in a weird spot. I might be able to save this. Usually you can push props against yourself to get unstuck. Yeah, this is like the one spot. Wait, unless I can... Yeah, so you can kind of see here. We'll talk about it more later too. Isaac does not... Wait. Am I stuck? Okay, if I have to do this again, it's not a big deal, but it's kind of a demonstration of... Oh, there we go, we saved it. Okay, so Isaac does not like to walk off ledges in this game. This one he does, it's okay, but like most ledges, he just doesn't like it, and you have to use props to push yourself. There we go, okay. So we're trying to redivert some power here to some cannons, and then we're gonna manually go out and shoot some asteroids, and that's our main objective for this level. And now we're picking up our second and, well, it's the only other gun we're going to be picking up the whole game, the contact beam. This thing is super good at killing bosses and enemies, but the boss fights is probably the main reason we pick it up. some people get the pulse rifle. It does make some things a little easier. I'm just used to not getting it. Speaking of which, I'm gonna equip my gun right now because it is easy to forget to do that. There we go. Yeah, the current record actually does use the pulse rifle. He gets the 2 guns I have and the pulse rifle. It makes some things a little easier, like the fuse break I did earlier. You can just throw one of the mines down and blow it up. So there's like a few things here and there where it's probably a little faster, but not by very much. And personally, I just opt not to get it because you have to manage having a 3rd set of ammo. Oh, we're not dead. Nice. So the patterns there aren't always the same. I'm gonna not shoot this guy because I need to use stasis here. Cool. So basically just avoiding having to use a stasis pack there by dodging him. Well, trying to dodge him both times. But we're just trying to save some of those stasis packs so we can use them for later. We get a free refill there. So I'm gonna grab that. But yeah, just throwing that out there. Some people get the pulse rifle. I don't usually. But it is potentially a little bit faster, but not by too much. All right, so we only have one more thing of power to divert, but it's in the same place pretty much where the cannons are going to be, like on the way. So we're going to start heading up there.
And the rest. Make more corpses to infect.
That organic shit on
All right.
the walls. That's dead tissue too. The crew thought it was a.
Have you not played the game? Screaming is very appropriate.
Isaac,
Yeah.
I'm gonna run some diagnostics.
I don't know. You know, it's like
I think that's best.
I feel like with horror, it's like, you know, once you've seen the scare, that kind of thing, it's all right. I always forget this one's opposite. You know. Basically, I'm trying. You know, if you play this game enough, or most horror games enough, it kind of just like doesn't phase you anymore.
Cannot relate.
Yeah.
I was talking to Sharka before we went live, but I've played about half of the first Dead Space, and I chickened out halfway through because it's a scary game.
Oh yeah, it's a spooky game for sure. I agree. Yeah, these games definitely used to get me a lot, but I've just, you know, I've played them so much. Just making sure I get this. This rig skip's kind of annoying. There we go. And we killed that guy because sometimes he decides to get stuck in the elevator wall, the wall of the elevator. Not this one, but the one before it. And elevators and lifts will not move if an enemy is too close to it. And that includes if they're stuck into the wall where you can't kill them. So we usually just kill that guy to be safe. It doesn't always happen, but it happened to me enough times when starting to run the game where I just said, you know what? It takes like 2 seconds to kill him. Just do it. It's not a big deal. This Shark Hat guy is really cool. I should check out his channel. Yeah. Yo, what's up, Utah, by the way?
Since a lot of the like level geometry, I was really struggling with that word. I don't know why.
Oh no, you're good.
Is pretty similar. Is it ever difficult to remember like where you're at?
Oh yeah, that is a good question. Yeah, so a lot of the levels are actually pretty different. At least, you know, if you're like really used to like where they are originally. It's really similar. Like the game overall is very similar, but a lot of things are obviously very reworked. I would say like for me, the only thing that gets a little weird is like some of those like circuit things where you have to like move the power. So it's easy to forget like, okay, wait, I have to select the first one, then use it, or I have to hit the thing, go to the second one, use it, whatever. Just some small things like that. But I mean, for the most part, I kind of just take it as its own separate game. So in the same way I played the other games a lot, at this point I played this game a lot as well. So it's pretty easy to keep it separated. Because a lot of the rooms are either I guess I'd put it this way. A lot of the rooms are either very similar or they're very, very different. So it's easy to keep the ones apart that are new because it's just a new area. And then the ones that are the same, it's kind of just the same deal.
I'm going back to medical.
Makes sense.
I'll head to the crew deck and look for survivors from the bridge.
All right, so quick note, actually skipped 2 cutscenes there. There are 3 that play back to back, but in this case, the 3rd one ends before I even get to this door, which would normally be locked. And you'll see me do that a little bit, actually. There's a few cutscenes we don't even try to skip because they don't really block your progress. There's gonna be one coming up pretty soon here that's like that. All right. Just looking for ammo here. So I do need, well, we'll actually get a decent amount of cutter ammo probably along the way here. Okay, you can get trolled by these guys that were jumping down. They're called leapers. Sometimes one just jumps and stuns you there. You get this like stun animation for a few seconds, but fortunately we did not get that there, so that's cool. Fun fact, we actually routed out a pretty cool skip you can do here where you clip out of bounds and then land in a 0G area. And when you land in 0G in this game, well, I should explain how they work in the original a little first for comparison. So in the original game, 0G acts like a big bounding box. If you're in the box, you have 0G, and if you leave, you don't. In this game, once you land in 0G, you just have it. And then if you leave out the normal entrance of the area, obviously you lose it. But otherwise, if you fly out of bounds, you keep 0G. So essentially you just keep the property that allows you to fly anywhere until you get too close to an area that loads in that doesn't have 0G. Because the game will just freely load in the level around the ship if you go there. And so, you know, if I flew over to this room, for example, it would load this room in and I'd lose 0G. But we had this thing because the objective is just to get to sort of the end of this area and get to a cutscene. And so we found this, like, it's really difficult, this whole route, to fly all the way there. And after all that effort, we timed it and it was slower, so we don't do it anymore. Because it's faster to just run over here normally. But it was a cool skip, though.
So, you've decided to be difficult.
Okay, and we got plenty of cutter ammo. This fuse break up here is a little more difficult. Again, if I had the pulse rifle, it'd actually be really easy. But that's okay. Speaking of which, I didn't really explain how that works. In this game, how we shoot through walls is a lot different from the original. So in this case, we need to be aimed, then unaimed, re-aim, and shoot really fast. And this one's just a little weird because the angle's a little awkward sometimes. There we go, nice. Oh, that wasn't bad at all. That one usually takes me a little longer than the other one. So I walk over here, see the game lag a little bit, so I'm just hitting a load trigger there. Then I'm gonna wait a little bit here. There we go. Okay, sometimes, I think if you interact with a cutscene too fast and it can't load quickly enough, sometimes you get soft locked, so you can get stuck here, not able to move, and then you gotta reload and run back over here, so just playing it safe. Alright, if anybody needs to grab water or a snack, this cutscene is about 2 minutes long, so it's a good time to do it. This is Dr. Mercer. They changed this cutscene quite a bit, so it's actually a little more, well, I wouldn't say interactive, but he actually, you know, freezes you here and then comes up to talk to you instead of just being on the other side of the glass and then walking away. We actually, this like scene is only like 50 something seconds in the original game, so they definitely fleshed it out a lot. They did that with a lot of the whole narrative, which is really cool actually. They fleshed out a lot of things, but it's funny because in the original, you get a checkpoint when you grab the item here, and in Dead Space 1 OG, you can't reload checkpoints. Like I can't just like go to the menu and hit load game or whatever, right? But if you die, you reload. So we'd actually just blow ourselves up, and you would to reload, and you'd only hear the first part of his dialogue. So you'd blow up, and you hear him go, "What are you doing?" And then it would just it just reloads, and I always found that really funny. Yeah, the timing of that. But unfortunately, we cannot do that here. Just gotta chill.
I was gonna say, if we got a couple of seconds while we're just chilling watching a cutscene. Mind if I do a couple of quick announcements?
Yeah, go for it. This is perfect.
All right. So, as many of you may know, SGDQ 2023 is coming up on May 28th to June 4th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The person currently running Sharkat does have a game in that marathon. He's running Kidnapped. Which
I do, yeah.
I'm very excited for. It's janky. I was huge. If you want to come and see it live, registration is open until May 3rd. Go to GameStoneQuick.com for more info. And the schedule is also out, as I just said. GameStoneQuick.com or !SGDQ in chat for more info on that.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I'm very excited for that as well. It's a super silly game. We were talking about it before the show. I was saying I actually can't believe it got in because it's like so short and it's like such a good meme. I always thought it would be a good submission, but you know, just because of like the length and stuff, I was like, I don't know if this is ever gonna get in, but it'd be cool if it did. And you know, here we are. We're playing Kidnapped. So I will be there. Yeah, highly recommend checking out the whole schedule. There's a lot of great games. I'm gonna be in the horror block. The whole horror block is gonna be great as well. Got some other funny games like Choo Choo Charles.
I'm not even gonna get started because there's so much I can say. I would be listing half the games list at this point, or even more. So
yeah. All right, so we are heading over here. We're gonna do something called Poison Skip. So this scene is actually normally plays in Chapter 2, but we skipped this area. So that's a cool little graphical bug there. But so we stasis this door, which actually does slow it down, and we get out of the room before it can lock after initiating this little cutscene, if you want to call it that here. We can't just progress right away. We got to wait for certain triggers. So once I hear that dialogue start, I can move up to here. I'm gonna just refill my stasis while we wait. But then I actually have to wait around here for a little bit. And reminds me, I'm gonna pull up this. Actually, I'm gonna kill this guy first. Should have enough time to do this. There we go. So yeah, we gotta wait around here roughly. We're gonna get a call, which we're gonna skip. Then wait for an audio cue. Then we can actually leave. So it doesn't save that much time, but it just lets us leave the room a little bit quicker. I don't know if I mentioned this yet, but skipping text or skipping cutscenes with text logs is a little bit faster because you can just press one button to close them instead of two, like with audio and video logs. So generally, if I have time to pull up a text log, you'll see me do that. If you just need to mash as fast as possible to get a log up before the scene starts, then you just use whatever's in your list at the top of the chapter. All right, this thing's not active yet because we got here, a little before we're supposed to. So we hit that as soon as it becomes active. Go over to my text log. Skip this. There we go. Just keep going. And you'll see the game blow through a bunch of objectives all at once, even though like it is up to date, but in terms of what it displays, it's a little bit behind. So it says stop the gas. We already did that. Already way ahead. And get the liquid nitrogen. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do right now. All right, there's another point in the OG where you can actually just blow yourself up and, skip kind of waiting here, but unfortunately we gotta wait just a little bit. Just gonna manage my inventory here. Oh, we picked up an air can. I do not, I just hit the wrong button. There we go. Yeah, sometimes I forget because I think, some of the other Dead Space games you can hit E to grab them, but I always forget in this game you can hit enter, so. Dead Space 2 muscle memory messes me up there sometimes. I think I was doing that in Chapter 1 too. I was like, wait, why isn't this working? All right, so we're gonna fight fight is a strong word, but we're gonna encounter the Regenerator or the Hunter here. So, which that's another character they fleshed out a lot more in this game. There's a whole side mission detailing that, which we're not gonna do this run, but if you play the game for yourself, it's pretty cool. So actually the fight here is pretty much exactly the same as the OG, which is you just have to freeze him in this thing. And by that I mean our strategy is also going to be the same. So if we time it right, we are just going to stasis him right as he gets to the middle of this thing, and then we're just going to go hit the button near where Mercer is up there, and that just ends the fight immediately. So that's what we're going to do. This is the remake. Okay, so I'm gonna let him walk up here, and got him. All right, so this should work. Sometimes he decides to be a little funny. Yeah, we got him. Okay. Cool. There's a large med pack. Actually, you know what? I am gonna pick this up. I don't usually do this, but I just realized. Well, it doesn't really matter that much, but I can actually sell that. Should have enough time in the store coming up to do that. Okay. So here's a cool little thing. You know, we were in the medical deck, and now this loops back into the bridge. They've added a ton of shortcuts like this, which did not exist before, which is pretty neat. All right, so if you were here at the beginning of the run when I dropped off a box before going to chapter 3, you're actually gonna use that now. Well, we're not gonna use it now, but we're gonna be taking it with us. So, assuming I, was paying attention and actually grabbed the right box, then it should still be right here, which it is. Nice. Cool. So, we're actually not going to use this until the very end of Chapter 6, but it is still faster to carry it with us all the way there. Oh, okay. I meant to grab that stasis refill, but it doesn't really matter. Oh, wait, I can just grab this one. Right. Nice. Also, fingers crossed, we have not missed any rig skips yet. You may have noticed there's a lot of these. And honestly, that's one of the hardest things to learn at first when picking up this game is just where to skip all the cutscenes. It's just so easy to just, tunnel vision, you just forget. And it feels really bad because some of them lose almost a minute and you just can't really do anything. You just got to sit there and wait and think about your mistakes. But so far so good. We haven't forgotten any. I know I've been talking a lot, but if you have any questions, by the way, or anything to say about the run, feel free to jump in anytime.
I know I'd just be making dumb jokes about Chekhov's box. Set it up in chapter 1, pay off in chapter 3.
Yeah, I mean, I like it.
Yeah, it's like I've always found like 3D, not 3D, third person. That's the word I'm looking for. Runs like this pretty impressive because I feel like it's easier to figure out of bounds in like first person games, but being able to do things like that in third person, just you're manipulating a whole different set of like movement styles that I've never done. I've always run first person games mainly. So
yeah, I got you. Yeah, and this game fortunately does have a lot of really cool out of bounds as well, which has been pretty fun to work out. It's interesting trying to work with the restrictions the game has in terms of the objectives, and then just seeing like just how fast the game can be. It actually kind of reminds me a little, in some ways, of Outlast 2, because that game is a little different, where if you don't get every checkpoint in the game, it kills you, which is interesting to say the least. But it's sort of similar, where it's like you have to do things in a certain order, but if there's a gap between, in that game, checkpoints, or in this game, objectives, you can actually just skip everything in between it. So it's interesting to try to work out with those restrictions what you can actually still skip. Of course, in Outlast 2, we have a mod, different category where that doesn't happen. We figured out a way around that. But the main category is it does. This game doesn't have any kind of mod like that yet, but all someday.
Yeah, that'll fix the 6-minute out of bound fly.
Exactly. All right, I'm gonna drop that there. So you'll see me drop the box at different points in the level. I don't need to carry it with me the entire time. I just needed to be with me sort of generally getting to the end. Speaking of which, to get to the end of this level, we got to kill these 8 enemies called Weezers. Unlike the OG, we can't just shoot them. We have to actually inject them with this enzyme. So actually watch that little animation there. Not a big deal. In the OG, you can sort of snipe them from across the level sometimes, which is a little bit convenient. But in this game, they're generally along the way. I suppose we could maybe fly out of bounds and shoot some you know, I don't know if that would work. We haven't really, well, because we haven't really looked at it. But, oh yeah, so we got hit there. You can survive 1 exploder. You'll see the game will just heal me in a second here. So again, that's a story mode only kind of thing. And that is exactly why I do not need to have health packs, because I pretty much can't use them. The only time I could use them is if I healed immediately after getting hit. So, I mean, if there was a case where I needed to get past 2 exploders, maybe I could, you know, get hit, heal, get hit again, survive, but that doesn't really happen. And even if it was, it's pretty minor thing anyway. I didn't really mention it explicitly, but I've had people ask about it before. So the toggle aim thing does not work while you're flying, so that you'll still see me flying normally. Although it does still work when you're on the ground in 0G, so you will also see me do that sometimes. There we go. Just double checking I hit the right thing here. Let's divert the power for these doors. The game also added these little tentacle things where you know, you break it, it destroys the whole thing, opens up a path. That is going to come into play pretty shortly. Oh, open the door, come on. All right, I barely stepped back from it, started closing again. All right.
Oh God.
All right, we're sort of nearing the end of our journey with this box here, but not quite.
Wait, he's gone.
We do still have a few more of these Weezers to kill. First, we gotta quarantine, so we gotta kill this brute.
Sorry, Albert. Keep going.
There we go.
It looks like my little brother.
Grab the battery, please. There we go. So this level is actually very different from the original. Kind of talking about like asking to get lost. I would say this chapter is still kind of easy to get lost if you're replaying it. Oh, really quick. Okay, so I need this. This is the skip I was sort of talking about earlier. So this is the end of the level, and where you kill Weezer number 8. But with contact beam shots and some other weapons, but we're doing with contact beam here. We can actually break those, and we're gonna be able to sequence break and skip a decent chunk of this level by just taking the back path. And fun fact about that, we learned this from our friend, one of the devs in the speedrun Discord. So they actually found that skip in development, but it was too expensive to redo all the art for that room, so they just left it in. Which I think is pretty funny, and it makes sense. I mean, you know, it doesn't really affect the game that much. If anything, I see it as just sort of rewarding you for being creative there. It's not like it really breaks the game at all. It's just, you know, you can take a shortcut up to the top. These guys are a little in my way here. That's fine. All right, so the one I just killed, I think, is like Weezer 5 or something like that. This is Weezer 8, and we're gonna go up and kill Weezer 7 last. The game, fortunately, does not make you do them in the exact order, and even casually, you can actually do these out of order. But that is the one, I guess, the game sort of like intends you to kill last. Oh, box is blocking the button there. All right, here comes Weezer 7. We all love Weezer 7. There we go. It's a little awkward, as you can see, to actually get the box through some of these small doors sometimes. But okay, we're finally gonna use our box over there. But first things first, we're gonna kill this last Weezer. There we go. All right, so now we're gonna go out of bounds again, and we're gonna hope we don't soft lock. If we do, we just do this again. But we don't know exactly why the soft lock happens, but sometimes it does. Hopefully, we don't even have to worry about it. But now our objective is just to go get back to food storage, which is the beginning of the level. So we are going to do a box clip, and I have to get I have to let go of this pretty early. If we get too much speed, we will get stuck. That was good though, nice. So this is the 0G area we were just in. Like I said earlier, we can keep flying as long as we don't load in a level that doesn't have 0G. So now we're gonna fly over here, and you'll see the boss room actually load in right about here. But we need to get to the tunnel before that, so we're gonna go this way. That looks pretty good. I'm gonna fly forward and hopefully, yep, nice, okay. level loads in. This is a non-zero G area, so it just drops us, and that panel did not soft lock, which is awesome. So, nice. I guess it's just straight to the boss. It's your favorite Weezer album? Yeah. All right, finally gonna use the contact, excuse me, the contact beam here. Like I said, really good for bosses. You'll see why in a second. Still attacking. Cool. The cutter sort of shreds this boss too, but the beam's just a little bit quicker, just fires faster. Excuse me. Just got that continuous hitbox, which is really useful. Might get hit by that. Okay, there we go. All right, now this is a little tricky, but the boss very briefly can be damaged by the alt fire of this gun. We're actually gonna primary fire it first, and then if we time this right, we can actually damage it right there. Nice. So otherwise you gotta hit him 3 times with the primary fire, but if you hit him there with the alt fire, you can do a little more damage. So we're gonna do the same thing. Let's do 1 primary fire, gotta actually dodge there, and if we time it right, we'll get the 2 cycle again. Nice. Okay, that's really good actually. I might try to grab some of these ammo drops. Oh no, never mind. That's fine. We have plenty of cutter ammo. Actually, we're good. Cool. So that is the Leviathan. Okay. I was gonna pull up a text log, but I just want to make sure I pull this up in time. So there we go. Skip that one. Oh, we get a little bit of a rig glitch there. That can happen sometimes if you close. If you do a rig skip at kind of a weird time, sometimes you get like 2 menus on top of each other and weird stuff like that.
An SOS beacon. Cool. Someone jettisoned all the others. Isaac, there's a shortcut to the mining deck. Near Cross's workstation.
What is this boss supposed to be? Just kind of a giant biomass with, you know, tentacles. Just typical Dead Space stuff, I suppose. All right, I don't know. I thought that one was a box, not a, yeah, locker. That's fine. All right. It got yeeted into space? It sure did. Okay, so chapter 7, the mining deck. All right, this is probably the hardest chapter in the whole game. Well, it's probably the most broken. Well, okay, actually, I don't know if that's true either. It's up there. It's one of the hardest levels in the game. One of the most broken for sure. So oh well, actually, okay, I gotta do this first. Then we can explain. So we want to try to activate this elevator without this door behind us closing. So we just need to get close to this.
I'm gonna figure this out.
And okay, just make sure that doesn't close. There we go. Oh. And made it. Nice. Okay. Cool. So I've just sent the elevator down without us. And I'm gonna set this up so we can get off this ledge. Again, Isaac doesn't like to walk off ledges in this game. So basically, and then again, this is something we sort of figured out but confirmed from the devs as well. So instead of just putting up a bunch of invisible walls to prevent you from walking out of bounds or falling off, they just make it really hard for Isaac to fall off ledges. We can abuse physics with props to get around that sometimes, which we're going to do in a second here. Okay. So that means the elevator's almost at the bottom. We still got to wait a little bit. If we don't wait, we will soft lock here. That looks pretty good. I like to wait like a little longer sometimes. Nice. Cool. Oh, did I actually go like half a second too early? Oh, I think I did. Okay, we're gonna do that again. So if the door's locked there, that means that we did it a little too early. That actually looked pretty good to me, but oh well. I was just barely off, that's fine. Get more time to explain what we're actually doing here. So, there's a fight that plays at the bottom of the elevator, right? But it only starts the fight if you're actually on the elevator. So, I did say it, yeah. Whoops. But yeah, if you're not on the lift, it won't play. So if we wait till it gets to the bottom, the door just unlocks. The reason we soft locked is because I dropped down and it just got stuck. It doesn't play the fight or unlock the door, but not a huge deal. That's why you saw me not even necessarily rush to open the door as soon as it unlocked, because it's usually not at the bottom by the time the door unlocks here. Anyway, like I was saying before, one of the funny things about this level and in chapter 2 with all those box clips, these two levels being super broken, is in the OG game, they are probably 2 of the least broken levels. And in this game, that kind of flipped. They're actually probably the most broken, or they're pretty up there at least. Okay, that looks like it's at the bottom. Like, surely this works, right? Okay, game trolling a little bit, but that's okay. All right, grabbing a box here. Somebody made a pretty good meme in the Dead Space Discord talking about this game. It was, you know, like the I forget like the original name of the cereal, but it's, you know, oops, all boxes. That's kind of how a lot of the tricks in this game go. Oh, actually, the best one was somebody posted that clip from SpongeBob where Squidward's watching the TV and like it's like every channel is boxes. That's like how it is checking the Skips channel in this game in the Discord. It
Looney
can't be
shows
all
up
boxes.
and you're like, oh no, another box.
It can't be all boxes. Championship boxing. This sounds nice. Yeah. Anyway, if you've seen it, you don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, we're leaving that box for later. We're gonna use it to skip some stuff. Yo, what's up, Cash? How's it going? So you know, speaking of this level being broken, we did the elevator skip, and now we're heading to the processing deck, where we're gonna see a lot more out of bounds shenanigans. So the whole idea of this level is it's 4 decks. You start on the top one, and you go to the other 3 to, do various objectives. We're trying to launch an SOS beacon. So basically, we just tried to launch it. It says it won't work. So we go through this whole process of what if we attach it to this asteroid and then launch that into space. So right now, we're trying to get this guy's rig. And then after that, we got to go get the beacon. Now, the cool thing is, like I said, as long as you don't have an objective for something, you actually don't always really have to do it. So, or if there's a big gap between 2 objectives, you can just jump from one to the other. So in this case, you don't get any objectives between actually grabbing this item and then getting the beacon, which is the next item. So we can literally just skip from one to the other. And it's actually one of the bigger skips in the run. I think it saves almost 5 minutes. It might be more like 4.5, but not just that, it skips a auto-scroller, actually 2 auto-scrollers. So that's always nice. So once again, we're gonna use a box here, and nice, okay. We're gonna clip through that door. I was getting a little ahead of myself, so that's the next skip. This skip bypasses this entire 0G area where you gotta throw some asteroids into this beam and destroy them. But again, the objective is just get the rig, so that's all we have to do. We grab that. This trick is pretty difficult, but we just got an autosave, so if we don't get it first try, it's not a huge deal. But again, we're going to clip out of bounds. Just going to punch that up here to roughly know where I am, and... just barely off. So we've got to either land on the upper or bottom floor. I landed just like a little bit outside. The timing of when you pause is super important. It's a little bit of a tight window. That's why you see me punching. So it depends on how much speed you get from the box. So it's not always 100% consistent, but what I do is I see the level unload and I just punch twice, and then I know roughly on the swing. So that was okay. That was a little early, but still pretty close. Like I said, though, it's one of those things that's pretty worth learning, because it just saves so much time. That, I mean, and you literally get an autosave when you pick up the item there. So doesn't take too much time. Takes about 10 or 15 seconds to try it again. Okay, we're still too early. Usually if you miss this, you're going to be too early. It's like it's always a little later than you think it's going to be. And then every once in a while you wait like a little too long and fall to the floor instead. But all right, almost got it. I am trying to stay hydrated, yeah. Wait, oh no, we got it. Okay, I was gonna say I thought that was too early again. Box tricks are pretty cool. They are very cool. It's also just funny to me because Kinesis is way more broken in this game than the other Dead Space games. Like, we've tried to prop fly and flip ourselves through walls with objects before, but it does not really work in the OG trilogy at all. With like maybe, actually very recently, there was a Dead Space 3 skip that got found where you just like push an item into yourself and flip through a wall, but that's really rare. That almost never happens in the OG games. The closest thing is in Dead Space 2. Well, I guess technically 2 and 3, but it only really is useful in 2. You can use props to clip through the floor sometimes. I mean, I guess it's kind of close. Hydrating is important. Also been talking a lot, so it's kind of, yeah, helps with that a little bit. All right, see the level sort of like pop in there. The game continuously loads as you go. So depending on how fast your computer loads, it won't always load in completely seamlessly.
Are there any like possible tricks with like delayed deloading of stuff, or?
Not really. Like, it usually loads in pretty fast. It's just like sometimes you'll like on these elevators you'll see it visually just pop in or something like that. But we did try that a little bit, like going to like really like low FPS and stuff to try to, you know, like just to see what happens if you try to do that. But no, it'll usually load in fast enough that you can't do stuff like that, but you might see some like weird visual things. The only time something like that might happen is if you're not playing the game on an SSD. So they actually don't recommend playing this game on a hard drive because you'll get some weird problems where you might actually have something load in too slow, like through a door, or like get some weird bugs with like cutscenes, things like that. Yeah, it is a pretty intense game in terms of requirements. It runs pretty okay on my hardware. You might see it lag here and there. It usually lags when the game loads as well.
I mean, it's seemed fine to me, but from the from the viewer end.
What was that?
Yeah, it's not too bad. But you'll just occasionally see it like right there, it's just loaded a little bit, but nothing too crazy. It's not like you like get stuck there, it freezes, loads for like 5 seconds, and then you keep going. It's usually just like little short buffers. I'd say they did a really good job with it. Whoops. Okay, so if you don't get hit by that guy, you can get hit by this guy, and it's a little faster, but it's like a really small time difference. It's just a difference of stopping to shoot him and just running straight past him. It crashed your rig overheating sometimes. Yeah, I guess that's the only thing you gotta watch out for. Generally this game is very well, really all the Dead Space games are really CPU intensive, so my CPU gets really hot. I've had to sort of like open my case sometimes just to be safe.
Dang.
But well, it's probably me just being too. I had that happen with a few other games, so I just do it. But I haven't actually I personally haven't had problems with this game overheating, but you know, it's probably just me being
Always gotta be overcautious.
Overly safe, yeah. Especially if I'm doing runs or something, I don't want it to just like shut off, you know, that would be bad. So yeah, it's definitely a little more intense than some games out there, but yeah. There we go. So we're just gonna use a stasis back there, just kind of a small time save. There is a refill station right over there, but it's a little faster just to refill like that. All right, we get to do one of the, I would say one of the more difficult tricks in the run. So earlier I mentioned that box clips are a little bit dependent on where they are. So in this case, we don't have as much space to pull the box towards ourselves, so it's a little bit tighter to actually get enough speed to clip, but it saves a few minutes, so it's definitely worth it. I like the hat. Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of love for the hat.
I appreciate it. I got it in like middle school, and just at the time, me and my friends thought it was really funny, so I just kept it, and I still like it. It's a good one. Yes. Okay. So the next skip coming up. So we just call this quarantine skip because it's gonna skip the quarantine here, but it has another effect later on that's also pretty important. We'll talk about that. Let me actually see if I can get it. Enemies spawn here, so if we don't get it within a few tries, we gotta reload. But it is worth trying it a few times. Oh, see, okay, yeah. That's kind of what okay. That's what I was talking about earlier, where if you let go of the box at the wrong time, it just loses its speed and just kind of like bops you really lightly. Okay, well, I guess I can talk a little bit about what happens here. So when we have a quarantine active, these doors are locked here, and the game can only have one of these rooms locked into quarantine at a time. So if we clip out of this room, hopefully through the door. There we go, like that. Okay, that's not bad at all. So if we do that, the quarantine will not actually end unless we reload from a checkpoint. You'll see that save station over there has a little red line on it. That means it's on standby and we can't use it. So that is one downside of having the quarantine active, is we can't save the game. Well, we get auto saves, but I can't make a manual save, which is fine. But the next trick coming up just means I can't save before. So it's not too bad. You know, I don't want to jinx myself. It's not too bad, but ideally we want to not have to reload checkpoint all the way until chapter 9. And if we do that, there's a quarantine fight that just will not play because this one will still be active. So it actually saves over a minute in another level in like 10 to 15 minutes.
Police the beacons away.
Just by doing the one here.
Wait. Array receiver not responding.
Oh yeah, that wasn't bad at all. That is one of the harder box clips in the run.
48 hours estimate was wrong.
Definitely.
No comms, no rescue. Take the train to the bridge.
Like I said, you just don't have a lot of time. You don't have a lot of space to build up speed with the box. So it's a little tricky. All right. So the level we're going to does not have any boxes, and you guessed it, we're gonna need one. So we're just gonna take this one with us on the tram like that. And I mentioned earlier that the tram can crash. This one always crashes, so you'll get to see what it looks like. We can still get them later. I could get one in, like, I think it's chapter 11. You can get one. So we haven't seen a random one yet, but it could happen. Would you say the space that you do have is dead? I would say that. Yeah, it's like it's our we actually do refer to it like that sometimes. Our little companion cube. This reskin of Portal 2 is amazing. I think it's pretty fun. So yeah, you can see if this happens to you, this is really bad. This takes a very long time where you're just not moving at all. Yeah, I mean, I think I heard one person say one time they didn't get this one, but I don't know if that's actually true or not. As far as I know, this one is scripted, but the other ones are random.
Now arriving at the bridge.
All right. So we finally made it to the bridge. I have to make sure I skip this cutscene here.
The mining.
Okay, so our next objective is to fix the comms array. So we can actually just take a shortcut there. It happens to be directly below us. So ideally, we're gonna clip through this wall here. Nice, okay. And we're gonna run back, and the level should load around us. Like that, and now we're straight into the puzzle. So it's a little scary because if you hold on, I'm gonna send that one over there. Okay, so it's a little scary because if you get clipped out with too much speed, sometimes you won't always land on the right spot here. This one. And like I said, we are ideally trying not to have to reload any checkpoints at all. So if we did have to reload there, it would have been fine. We just wouldn't have been able to skip the quarantine later on. But now we are on track to do that. There are still some memes that could happen. There is a potential crash in Chapter 9, but we're pretty sure we know how to avoid that. Wait, did I... Oh, I totally switched these two. I will say this puzzle is completely different from the original game, and this took me a long time to figure out the first time. Because in the original game, you just have to make a circle, right? Like, there's 3 different rings. And wait, did I actually... Hold on. Am I... What did I do? Oh, wait, what did I do here? Hold on. I think I threw one of them in the wrong spot at the beginning, and that threw me off. Yeah, wait, this one's right. Someone in chat was saying I was being a bozo. I am a little bit right now. Wait, yeah, where did that... I grabbed the piece, right? What did I do here?
Hold on. Mucking yourself here.
Oh, yeah, hold on. Okay, wait, so that goes there, that goes there. Yep, that's all right. Wait, so how is that... Oh, wait. Oh, I see what happened. Okay. So I did throw that piece over there, I'm pretty sure, but I think there was another extra one floating that I didn't need, and that somehow floated. Okay. Yeah, because the pieces will just free fly around, so if you don't throw them in the right spot, they will also just kind of fly off. And you kind of have to, like, corral them. Okay, so that's not, you know, ideally how you do that, but you get the idea. Anyway, in the original game, you just have to, there's 3 rings, and you just have to complete one of them. And this, you have to actually route it all around into one of these spots. Oh, did we miss this one? Okay, so that one is a really tight timing. I think we were just a little slow there, but that's fine. So, yeah, this is what happens if you don't skip one of these. You kind of just have to kind of wait. Hey, we get more of the story, though. That's cool. Ooh. Yeah, and this one sucks because there's 2 of them here. Yeah, it's the RNG manip though, so it's okay.
Come in, Valor. Oh, her signal isn't strong enough.
Can we deploy the long-range antenna?
No, something's
Yep, like I said, you kind of just chill.
There'll be a manual release over at maintenance. I'll go. Keep trying to reach them.
Okay. Yeah, that one's a little weird sometimes. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. So, in general, this level is actually very different in terms of the layout. The top part of the bridge is still the same, but all of this stuff is pretty much completely reworked. All these rooms. Still the same idea, except they changed and I think improved the boss for this area quite a bit. So the original game has these turret sections. Whoops, oh, there's that punch. Oh, there it is again. I was talking about. There we go. Okay. Yeah, again, if you try to press aim too early, because you can't buffer it with toggle aim, it just does that. And you get a nice little punch input instead. Okay. Like I said, yeah, they replaced the boss. I think it's much better. So it's actually a fragment of the Leviathan, which is that boss we killed in Chapter 6. And instead of doing this turret section, like fixed perspective, we're actually going to go out there and fly around and shoot it with some different turrets. These things have pretty much infinite range. So I'm going to grab this one, and I'm going to start making my way over to the next one while I shoot them. There we go.
Warning. ADS cannon destroyed.
All right. And same thing. Now we're going to head back to the right while we do this one. Okay. And now we're going to cut over this way. So it's generally still a little bit faster to use toggle aim sprint on the ground, but we can take a bit of a tighter path here flying. And, you know, again, story mode, don't have to worry too much about getting hit by these things. Just kind of my way here.
Okay, this is definitely way cooler than like sitting in a turret.
Oh yeah, way more interactive. Just in general, way more interesting, I think.
Yeah. I'm also a big fan of the like muted outdoor like type fights.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I really like that
the
aesthetic. Yeah.
For sure, yeah. And the sound design of this game is great, just like the original games. All right, so here we are going to get 3 calls, and skipping them does not actually do anything here, so we're not going to.
Yes, finally, USM Valor. This is Kendra Daniels.
Or rather, I should say, the level progresses when the ship crashes here, and skipping the rig videos doesn't actually speed up the ship, so it doesn't really matter if we skip this or not. I guess we should explain. So the that necromorph there, Hammond jettisoned it in a escape pod in like chapter 4 way back, and it crash landed onto this other ship, the Valor. It's like a military vessel, and it's gonna turn all of them into necromorphs as well. This is a little funny skip here actually. So I don't know if this is intentional, but you can kind of just fly through this gap here instead of flying out the normal way. It does skip a rig video as well, which is nice. You do have to kind of get at it at a certain angle and then rotate like that, but it's not too tricky. All right, now this level, the Valor, this is one of the most reworked levels out of the whole game. It's pretty much entirely redone, and I really like what they did with it. It's a really cool layout. I'm gonna skip this rig video, not because it's fast, but because we're pretty sure it helps prevent a crash here. I don't know if I can make this cycle now. Oh, no. I can. Okay, I probably shouldn't have risked that, but we did it anyway. Oh, one of the weird things doing the rig skips, like if you close it too early, you get these graphical bugs I mentioned. So this is one of them you can get, where it's just sort of floating here. The game did not crash, so that's really good for us.
When they were turned, those units merged right into their bodies.
Cool. So we should be able to do the quarantine skip later on. I mean, I guess I could die in one of the rooms coming up here, but that's probably not going to happen.
I must speak with you. Who is this? Dr. Terrence Kine.
That is the Leviathan, yeah. You fight it in chapter 6, but then there in chapter 8, it's sort of like a remnant of the Leviathan you blew out into space. That's Dr. Kine. We'll see a little more of him later. For now, we gotta send off this nuclear warhead so it doesn't blow up and kill us. And gotta avoid actually blowing up these exploders. If you blow up any explosive in this room, you just die, as the warhead explodes. Just kind of waiting here for the next rig video to pop up so we can skip it.
So for these rig skips, like you have to have it open beforehand, right? You can't like pop it open partway through.
That's right. Yeah, you'll see a little dialogue box come up. It'll say something like rig link in progress. I forget what it says, but yeah, you're not able to actually. Hold on, just making sure I time this right. Don't die. Cool. Yeah, it doesn't let you pull up a log if a cutscene's actually playing, but if it's already up, it won't close it, and then when you do close it, that's what actually skips it.
Yeah.
Which is really nice, because they did not...
Yeah.
Huh? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I guess that's nicer than, like, some other, I guess, audio log skips, like BioShock I'm thinking of, where you have to play an audio log, like, 5 times or something.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's much more convenient. It doesn't work for every single one, but it works for the most part. Am I dead? I'm dead. Whoops. Yeah, that one, it's really easy to get killed by that because it'll Yeah. It, what am I trying to say? It's sort of within the range of trying to grab that box I was going for. We sometimes don't get it, but we should get an autosave like right here. So we are totally fine. Yeah, nice. Okay, so that actually works out really well because we want to reload anyway. I'm still going to reload here because it's probably still faster, including the load screen. Makes this room easier at least. We actually do want to reload a checkpoint or die or whatever here at some point because it will get rid of that quarantine effect. That checkpoint actually puts us on a great cycle to get past all this fire, which is why I do it there. So we don't have to stop. Oh yes, but the that one of those rooms back there would have triggered a quarantine, but since we still had it active, it's not going to. This is a little bit of a funny thing. With toggle aim sprint, we can actually get into this room, which you're not supposed to be able to. So yeah, we're supposed to be over there right now. It is fast though. It lets us grab the singularity core a little bit faster. Also F for Hammond here. They did actually give him.
Save your guy?
No, he's not solid here, unfortunately. No, you can't, like, yeah, you can't save him. But, what's it called? What was I saying? Lost my train of thought. Yeah, you get in there a little bit faster. It does sort of make it look a little buggy because he turns his head to look at you, no matter where you're standing. So you get some kind of weird angles there. Yeah, F. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, they gave Hammond. I like what they did. Like I said earlier, they fleshed out the narrative a little more. They gave Hammond a little bit more of an arc. We do skip some of that, but that character Chen, they sort of used that to help develop Hammond as a character a little more in this game. So I think that was pretty cool. All right, and here we are just trying to escape from the Valor as it blows up. Wouldn't be a good sci-fi space adventure if it at least wasn't at least one countdown sequence or something to blow up. But all right, so the line gun is actually really good. We don't pick it up in this route, but on impossible runs you will see people pick it up. It has this really cool alt fire in this game where you can put these lasers on props and then you can just aim the prop with the lasers on them at enemies. You can just melt them, and it does a lot of damage. Because you're really just supposed to put them on the ground or on the wall and have enemies run into them, but you can actually just put them on a prop and then just aim the beams directly at the enemies continuously, which is really, really strong. For our purposes, we do plenty of damage with just the unupgraded cutter and the contact beams. That's what we're running with here. Like I said, some people do pulse rifle as well, but yeah, the line gun is very good. Normally we get slowed down on this goop as well, but with toggle aim sprint, we just kind of glide right over it. It's nice. Okay, so now we're on chapter 10. At the beginning of our run, I mentioned that there were 2 chapters that don't really follow the rule of you have to complete every objective to progress. We're finally at one of those. So in chapter 10, our objective right now, and I'll show you, it says reach the executive shuttle. That gets canceled when you go to the crew deck, and then it comes back later, but it actually functions the same way now as it does later. So if we just go to the executive shuttle, it will actually progress the level normally, and this is by far the biggest skip in the game. And it's kind of funny because the original game also has a very similar thing, except there you have to get 3 nav cards, but you actually only have to get 1. If you just have 1, it lets you progress. And so we just skip straight to the shuttle. So it works a little differently, but similar idea, I suppose. Now, fortunately, the area we're trying to go to is right here, where this box still is from Chapter 8 skip. So we're just going to do the same thing, hopefully, like that. Except we're going to go over here this time. And I could use the 0G, but this version's a little faster. We time our pause here correctly. Nice. Okay, so that lands us right in the executive shuttle. We're gonna place the singularity core we picked up, and that's most of chapter 10. Actually, we're only 2 minutes in, and we've almost beaten the whole level. Before we actually beat the level, though, we gotta fight this guy one more time. Well, sort of fight him, I guess. So, similar to last time, we kind of just got to get him stuck in a trap and then set it off. So, just taking off his limbs there to force him to regenerate, slow him down. And light this up. Now, one cool thing I haven't talked about yet is if you do the side missions, you actually get different dialogue. So, if you do his quest, you'll actually get a different dialogue line there. Regarding the hunter. Same thing happens with Nicole if you do her side quest. You get different lines at the end of the game, so that's pretty neat detail.
Bring convergence. Make us whole.
Your boxing skills are super good, thank you. Yeah. Like I said, the boxes are very broken in this game. Not that I have to tell you that, but okay. So yeah, we're super lucky that that skip works. Like I said, only 2 big exceptions. We'll get to the second one pretty soon as well, in a bit. But that's pretty much it for chapter 10. We just gotta kill this guy here. And skip this text or skip this audio log.
The Valor's carrying a 12 megaton warhead. The crash hit the torpedo.
Nice. And just like that, we are in chapter 11. Now, this is a cutscene that a lot of people, myself included, forget to skip sometimes. Because it's the only one you have to skip on a tram. And it's very easy to forget. There we go, nice. So that's Dr. Kine. We sort of talked to him in chapter 9. He is basically saying, oh yeah, we gotta take the marker and put it back on the home planet. And that'll stop the necromorphs. And so he's trying to convince us to use our shuttle that we're going to use to escape for that first. And so we said, yeah, okay, we'll do it. So I got to go grab the marker from the cargo bay here. And fortunately, these sections are a little more streamlined than the OG game. In the original, you have to actually physically drag the marker across the tracks while the enemies attack you, and it's a little obnoxious. In this version, all of these sections are automated, so it's a little easier on us. Now, to actually get the marker to spawn, we got to kill enemies here. Some of the spawns are a little random. Just gonna get rid of some of these while I can. Oh, I'm almost out of okay. Some of the cutter ammo. That's fine. Let's use this. I think that guy's dead. Oh, right. These guys have leg armor, so you gotta hit him in the arms. Alright, there we go. So that dialogue means that we have spawned in the marker. And now before it gets too far along its path, I just gotta destroy these tentacles so it can actually move. And then we're gonna get these. Just gotta kill. Well, we don't have to, but it makes things a little easier. And you still gotta babysit the marker a little bit. Gotta make sure it can actually get through the path there. But yeah, as I said, you can see both weapons we have are very good. Oh, I thought it got stuck there. I thought I forgot to destroy one of those. We're good though. A little small strat here. The enemies will try to go around. Oh, okay. I thought it exploded. They won't try to cross the bridge here if it's up. So sometimes we'll just tap that a few times because we need that bridge to be open. And I'm basically just trying to prevent enemies from getting stuck there because I want to just open this as soon as possible, and then we're good.
Access bridge is obstructing transfer.
Circle enemy. Okay, now we're good. All right. Once again, I'm gonna grab our companion cube. Queue up a log to skip this cutscene. This guy might hit me, that's fine. Cool. He might block the lift. No, we're good. Okay. Oh, that's an intensity director meme where you get the enemy to drop in front of you, but just slid around him. Not a huge deal. Alright. So this will actually be the last small box we're gonna use, I think. Yeah, in the run. Not the last trick with the box we're gonna do though. So, gonna let that be a surprise for later.
I can make it if I run.
Yeah, you do find Peng in there. It's in a locker in that room. Sort of near where I got those boxes. Alright. So I have a pretty decent amount of ammo. I'm just gonna use contact beam for most of this. Just to save a little bit of cutter. But it doesn't matter too much. The only thing we really need a lot of ammo for, not even a lot, but just that we need ammo for is the final boss. So I'm just trying to look at how much we have and just make sure we have enough. I mean, we get a lot of ammo at the boss too, so it wouldn't be a problem either way, but it's just something to think about. Oh, okay. Just making sure I get all the drops there. You're actually dead. No, you're not. There we go. Cool. Alright, so we triggered the next sequence by walking out into the hangar bay, so it's a little faster to go through this door. And this was a little confusing when we discovered this, but a few of these rig calls are actually not fast if you skip them. Or it's not faster to skip them, I should say. And so it was a little tricky getting the hang of it, because it's already hard enough trying to remember which one of these you have to actually skip. But then we added on top of that. Oh wait, well, don't skip these two now, because actually those are slow. But yeah, it's not too bad.
Kind, relax. I'll turn off the
oh wait, let's just skip this one. Oh no, we're good.
All right.
Like I said, it's a little confusing sometimes. We're just expanding the lore. There we go. Grab this. Okay. Cool. So we're gonna leave that box there. And I'm gonna come back for that. And we gotta load the marker onto the shuttle here, so we gotta fix the power. Like that. Cool. So this thing is, well, literally, I was gonna say on rails. Like, I mean, literally is on rails, but it's essentially not quite an auto scroller, but it'll keep moving at its own pace as long as we move it as soon as possible. So I was gonna make sure the tracks are clear, which involves killing these enemies. A sort of weird thing too is you actually won't finish the objective or the marker getting the shuttle unless you kill all the enemies. And I actually don't remember if it says you have to do that, but you do. Also, if they get in front of the marker, it will stop sometimes, so we don't want that to happen. Some of these smaller enemies like to get in the way. That one usually does. And this should be the last guy, I think, unless I missed one. I don't think we did. Cool.
Wait, what was that video? So
Wait, what was that one I just pulled up?
yeah.
Oh, it's him. He's in the shuttle calling you to be like, "Oh, Mr. Clark, I'm on my way." Or, I forget what he says, but yeah.
It looked like he just pulled up his webcam and like, hey man, what's up?
Yeah. Oh well. Speaking of him, he's also dead. Rip.
Unfortunate.
Rip Bozo. So he's gone. So it turns out Kendra betrayed us. I didn't really talk about her very much. She's one of the crew members that comes down on the ship with us. Turns out she wants to take the marker. She knew about it all along. You know, some more details there. But yeah, basically yeah, she betrayed us. She left with the marker and the ship, so we are stranded here, and we get a call from our girlfriend Nicole here, who is basically saying, "Oh wait, you know, come up to the, you know, flight control thing or whatever, and we'll pull her back." We're not really going to talk about this. I guess I'll talk about it now. Spoilers: Nicole is a hallucination from the marker, so she's not actually here. But she does show up a lot throughout the game. I'll leave that there. Most of the like main plot points from the original game have not been changed at all. There's some smaller things, you know, maybe there's another little detail there I'll leave out, you know, in case you haven't played this version of the game and you want to see it for yourself, because we're not going to see it most likely if the last skip goes well, which it hopefully will. But if it does, we actually will not see that plot twist. So I will leave that up.
There's still hope.
You can recall the shuttle and
But yeah, so we're gonna set up our last small box clip here.
You can make us whole again.
This one's a little weird because it doesn't happen very often, but in certain parts of the game, you actually lose the ability to use kinesis. Or sorry, not use kinesis, to throw objects with kinesis. I can still pick them up. So like right here, I can't use. I guess I still can. Oh no, right, I just can't throw yet. So let's skip a short video here. Okay, so we actually get a few tries at this before. Oh, and we got it first try anyway. So that one either works first try or it's really finicky. That was really good. I was about to say we actually have a few tries there before you would start to lose time, because the idea here is the shuttle is already getting called in, and we just need to be out here before it gets here. And so you get like 4 or 5 tries before you would start to lose time, because you can see we're here well before it actually gets here. And I guess I'll go ahead and start talking about the last skip, because we are getting pretty close to the end of the game here. So chapter 12 is that other level I mentioned that doesn't follow the rules as far as objectives go. So it's the last level, so you know, there's nothing after it we need to worry about. We just need to get to the end of this one, because there's other levels you can sort of progress through, but then it'll soft lock when you go to the next area. But here, we just have to trigger the end of the game. And it turns out there's a blue panel, and if you interact with it, it will spawn the final boss, and killing the final boss is what loads the final cutscene, and that ends the game. So we can skip all of the objectives in chapter 12 and just go straight there. Now, getting there is not very easy, and it's a little convoluted. But it's it's really difficult, and in PB attempts it really sucks, because it's probably one of the hardest tricks in the entire run, and it's not the most consistent thing in the world, and it's like an hour 40 something minutes in, but when it works it looks really cool. So the idea is we're going to use a box to prop fly up onto a building. We're going to throw the box and pull it back and hit ourselves like we would if we're clipping through a wall, except in this case it's actually going to launch us into the air. Then we're going to grab the box, throw it back down on the ground, use it to prop fly some more, and then clip through 2 walls. And yeah. So if that sounds like fun to you, it's going to be interesting. Oh boy, E-Flop says, oh yeah. If you've seen this before, you know it's pretty difficult, but we're gonna see how it goes. When I was saying earlier about how that was the last small box we're going to use, we're actually using a larger box for this. Generally, smaller boxes, at least in my opinion, seem to be a little easier to clip with, or we just use them more often. But this is the only box here, there's no small boxes, so we are going to use the big one. But I don't think the small box would even really work here anyway. I don't think it's big enough for you to stand on. But yeah. Missed the eye surgery scene. Yeah. We'll get it next time. Okay. Here we go. So this first part is probably the most inconsistent part. Just actually getting into a spot where we can do the prop fly. So we got to throw this box, and then we aim, which makes our hitbox bigger, which boosts us up here, and we kind of just hope it puts us in the right spot. That actually was pretty good. Now hopefully, oh no, okay, so yeah, you need to be in the right spot. This looks a little better now, actually. And hopefully it gets stuck under us like that. We're gonna prop fly up like that. Oh, almost, okay, almost got enough height, it's close. Go under us like that, up like this. Oh, okay, that's not quite where I wanna be. So we're gonna try that again. Now, not that the rest of the trick is any easier, but I will say, like, that first part right there is probably the least consistent part. There we go. Okay, so now we're on the building. We're gonna throw this box, grab it, let go. Gotta grab it again. That might work. Am I dead? No, we're good. Okay, so now I had to throw the box down kind of quickly because it'll despawn midair if you're holding onto it too long. It is despawned, but if you walk back over here, it can load it back in, which it did. Nice. It doesn't always do that, but it did. Okay. Oh, wait. Hold on. Okay. I think I can save this. So I think I need to throw it more over there after loading it in. Sometimes you get kind of, yeah. Okay. So I need to like do this, I think. And now I think we're okay. Yes. Okay. Now we're okay. All right. So that's the trickiest part out of the way. We can still get stuck here. So we're gonna prop fly up like that. Throw this down here. Now this is actually probably one of the scariest parts. It doesn't look like it, but if you don't walk off at the right angle here, you will just get stuck. That worked though. Nice. Okay. All right. We're almost there. Now we just need to clip into the room with the button, which we did. Nice. Okay. That actually went really well. It can go way, way worse than that. So like I said, this panel loads in the final boss, and we're gonna skip this cutscene here by flipping through this door. Like that. Nice. Okay. All right. That was not a bad chapter 12 skip. And we are on to the boss. So in the original game, opening that door actually loads in the final boss. In this game, it's that panel. So it's actually kind of similar. We do still skip pretty much the whole level in both games, but like chapter 10 skip, it's just, it triggers in a different way.
Last warning, Isaac. I mean it.
You see the marker still there? It's not supposed to be normally. We're supposed to have actually placed it back in that area it just was, but you know, we obviously didn't do that. Is this how the game's supposed to play out? I think so. The box master, thank you. Yeah, that trick, it's very weird. It's just hard. It's hard to get a handle of at first, but most of it is pretty consistent. It's just like getting into a spot where you can do the prop fly is not very consistent, and having to deal with the box despawning is also weird because if you don't, like, you saw I missed grabbing it first try, and that's like, oh, it's awkward, because then I got to grab it and then throw it, and it, yeah, ended up throwing it a little late, so it despawned. But I mean, like I said, you can usually still save it. Not always. If you don't get the right amount of speed, you can get stuck as well, so there's some weird stuff that happens. I was supposed to have this equipped already, but it's fine. This should still work. Nice. So after you destroy one of those, the boss will do that animation after a few seconds, but with the contact beam, because of its continuous hitbox, you can actually just destroy all 5 in one go. So that is another one of the main reasons we actually get the gun, is just for this fight. It's so much faster. Now, we're going to try to do another little, I guess you could call it trick here. It's close. Okay. So I need the explosive sack from these exploders. So I'm trying to kill them without actually shooting it. Just get this out of the way. It's safe. This does save a few minutes, so it's like, it's definitely worth being careful there to make sure we do it right. Okay, that one's good. All right. So I'm just staying away from that because now we're gonna get some attacks, and I don't want the boss to blow that up. So I'm gonna dodge these hits. All right, now. Oh, okay. All right, we almost had it. All right. Well, this should still be pretty fast. Just a little too left. Yes, Space Saddler, exactly. Fortunately, we don't have a rocket launcher for this one, but that's okay. Honestly, I might be able to get the last 3 in one shot. If not, we'll just do one more cycle. It's not a huge deal, but you can 2-cycle this boss if you land your shots correctly. Well, let's see what we can do here. Okay, not ideal. That's, you know what? We got memed on a little bit. That's all right. Just have to dodge a little bit here. Just thought this was a cool boss. Thought you guys wanted to see more of it. You know?
Just really showing, giving us the full experience.
Exactly. Yeah. So ideally, if you destroy the top 2 and then the bottom, or sorry, you destroy 2 and then 3, and it'll you destroy both sets of those and get it in 2 goes. But yeah, it's a little annoying. Normally, you're really intended to do 5 cycles because if you can see like that, if you destroy one, it immediately becomes invincible again. You can switch between both with contact beam. I think you can continue to do damage with it, but as soon as you actually destroy one, it just goes into this phase and you gotta wait again. So yeah, you'll see people in runs usually be pretty careful about their throws, because if this something like this happens to you, which is pretty easy to have this happen, you just kind of lose a lot of time. You just gotta wait. You know, like for right now, it's fine. It's not a huge deal or anything, but ideally you do not want that to happen. All right, well, we're almost done here. So we gotta hit the boss one more time, and then we got a little short cutscene. But time is gonna be when we, to the left, we're gonna run up onto a ramp, and that'll start a cutscene. So that's gonna be the end of the game, probably like 30 something seconds from now, give or take a little bit of time. All right. So that is coming up right when we hit this ramp, and time. All right, that is Dead Space remake, Dead Space 2023, whatever you want to call it. It's any % unrestricted. Hope you all enjoyed, and yeah, thanks for having me. I guess just real quick shout outs to the whole Dead Space speedrun community overall. Especially those of you that have ran this game. We're a generally small community, but we had a bunch of new people jump in, or people saying this was their first speedrun coming in. So, you know, shout outs to all those people who've worked on the game. And, yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Thank you for the GGs, everybody. I appreciate it. Like I said, hope you enjoyed the run.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Check out Sharkat on Twitch, Sharkat87.
Yeah, I like I said, I stream mostly horror games. I mean, I speedrun a lot of stuff, but most people know me for speedrunning the Dead Space series as well as Outlast. But I do lots of different stuff. I'm going to be running Callisto again probably at some point fairly soon, because the new cutscene skip patch dropped, so might be checking that out. But yeah, if you want to come see some horror speedruns, that's where I'll be. And oh, and as well, like we mentioned earlier, I will be at SGDQ 2023 in person running Kidnapped. So if you want to see that, it'll be bright and early at 5 a.m. Central. So I'll be there. Hopefully, y'all can come check it out. And yeah, the whole games list is really, really awesome. So everyone, make sure to check out that event when it comes around the end of May. But yeah, like I said, that's all I got. Thanks for watching, everybody, and. Yeah, I don't. There's not another show right after this, right?
Nope, we're all done. So,
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, then hope you all have a good rest of your night, rest of your day, whatever time zone you're in, wherever you're at. And thanks for watching.
Yeah, and hey, again, thanks Sharkat for coming on, showing it off.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Like you just said, SGDQ 2023 is coming up end of May 28th to June 4th. It's in Minneapolis. Registration's still open until May 3rd, so if you want to come by, check it out, see it live. I've been to every GDQ since AGDQ 2016. It's always worth it for me. I have a lot of fun there. You get to meet new people, learn new runs, watch some runs you didn't even know you were going to like. There's definitely a lot of sleeper hits, I think, in the marathon this time. But if you like this content, you want to help support GDQ, your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and Bitch Cheered help support HotFix and the content we put out. So please consider subscribing if you like this. And tune in tomorrow for Mercy Kill, followed by Passion Project at 7 p.m. Eastern. And if you're coming in late and you missed any of these runs, they will all be up on the YouTube channel in a couple of days. And if you're watching this on YouTube, check us out at twitch.tv/gamesdonequick. And that's all for tonight. We'll see y'all. I'll see y'all in 2 weeks.